Yo, what is up, everyone? My name is Dom, and we're going to talk about unusual options activity. Alright, let's kick it off with the disclaimer. So, disclaimer, this video is for educational purposes only. The statements made in this program here are solely the opinion of the show and are not a specific inducement to make an investment. One must perform their own due diligence and realize that all investments carry risk. There's no guarantee of profit. Alright, everyone, so I'm going to start it out with NVDA. Now, they have earnings next week, the middle or end of next week. There was a whole bunch of short-term call buying here. Usually short-term call buying is synonymous with, retail traders coming in, people like me and you, coming in and just buying up these contracts. But, there's such an absurd amount of volume here. Almost 30,000 contracts traded. These expire tomorrow. And these options are not cheap here. These were about $700. So, I think it's pretty unlikely that it's just retail traders coming in here and buying up 30,000 of these contracts when they're this expensive, and there's all this volume in some of these other contracts that expire tomorrow, different strike. Now there's also, NVIDIA has earnings next week, so there's also some people coming in and some contracts trading here of these May 28th 600 calls. And what I thought was interesting was, I believe it's this next month, or a couple months out, or sorry, a few weeks out, these July 4th 630 strike calls are trading. These are about $500 to $600. So if we take a look at the chart here, this thing topped out at about 650. So I personally wouldn't be buying a call like this. That's really far out of the money. A 630 call and the stock's at 580, I would probably rather do a vertical spread. But I am not in any calls in NVIDIA. I have a stock position in this one. It's pretty substantial, so I think I have enough exposure, and I don't really want any extra leverage here. One thing I will say is NVIDIA came down here. They just have report great quarters, great investor day, as I talked about on the channel before. This thing is kind of was flirting with this 200-day moving average here, this light blue line, and it had a nice bounce off there. I think I kind of would prefer the stock to stay down into earnings. I definitely don't want the stock to be at 650 into earnings, because then it's probably going to sell off. Obviously people are betting that the stock is going higher tomorrow and into earnings. So we will see what happens, everyone. Next one I want to bring up is Teck Resources. Now I have a couple positions in this one. I have some January 2022 30 strike calls. I have some August. I went pretty far out with the spread. Usually I don't like to do a spread that's 3, 4, or like 5 months out. But there was some buying in some of these June 18th calls here. 12,000 contracts traded here. This is a pretty far out of the money call here too. A 25 strike. The stock is trading at about 23, call it. So that's pretty substantially out of the money there. Almost 10% out of the money. For a June 18th call. That expires in about 3, 4, like 4.5 weeks or so. So that's pretty unusual. First thing in the morning they started coming in and buying these. There wasn't really any huge orders that triggered this buying. There was just a few smaller orders coming in, but it was a substantial amount of volume, because these contracts are only $50 each. So there are some smaller orders coming in. People getting 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 of these things. And that's how this kind of happens. People just see that, and then the volume keeps building and building, and more people see it, and more people flag it as unusual options activity, and they just keep jumping in. So that's kind of what happens. It kind of gives you a little bit more of a degree of confidence when you see a whole bunch of other people buying in. But there was some nice orders that triggered this, and it ended up at the day at 12,000 contracts traded. So I like this company. I like this cyclical trade here. I'm not sure when it's going to be coming to an end. I definitely do not want to be owning these cyclical stocks into the rate hikes that the Fed is going to be putting in. So I'm not too sure about that time frame. So I'm getting a little wary about these cyclicals. But I am in these calls. So we'll see what happens, everyone. Let's take a look at the chart real quick. I don't want to make the video go too long. So this is a classic value trade. This thing has underperformed for, quite a while, and it's starting to pick up some momentum, because of the cyclical trade here. It's had a nice pullback. I could see this thing making it to the 50-day moving average, maybe consolidating for a little bit around there, and then shooting higher. But, the people that are buying these super out-of-the-money calls, short-term calls, are definitely not betting on that. They think the stock is going higher. So we'll see what happens, everyone. Thanks for everyone who's been subscribing. I really appreciate it. Make sure to keep the subscribing up, and we'll see you in the next one, everyone.